Namaste and welcome to the Bharatvaarta podcast. I'm your host, Roshan Karyappa. In this episode of the Long India series, we speak to Sri Rakesh Verma, who is the managing director and founder of MapMyIndia. MapMyIndia is a leader in digital map data and associated technologies and products. Mr. Verma is a true visionary and innovator who quit his successful career in the US with General Motors to return to India and build for Bharat in the 90s. In this conversation, Mr. Verma spoke about his journey over the last 2 decades, how he persevered against all odds in a space that had multiple challenges, including the fact that he had to go up against one of the world's largest software companies, which is Google. MapMyIndia was last valued at around 4,700 crores in 2015. Its Move app recently won the Aatmanirbhar Bharat Innovation Challenge, and it also has struck an interesting partnership with ISRO, or the Indian Space Research Organization, to build indigenous solutions in mapping. This was a very inspiring conversation, and I hope you like it. Namaste, sir. Welcome to the Bharatvaarta podcast. Privilege and honor to host you.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Right, sir. Maybe to begin things, can you walk us through what your journey of MapMyIndia has been like from inception to now, and talk us through a few of your experiences building this business?
It's a 25 years long experience, and I might have to tell you other viewers maybe just in few minutes.
Right.
So started in mid 90s along with my wife Rashmi. After we came back from the US, working for General Motors and IBM in the US. The simple reason we came back was we wanted to do something for our country. And that was something internal and nothing to do with family or otherwise it was just a desire. So when we came back, we started with something that we were good at, which was working on the software services in the IBM mainframe, which we did successfully for 2 years doing the projects for Tata Steel and IBM in the US. But there comes a time where you realize what is more important in your life. And that's when it hit us that we need to develop some product. It's not just making money, and do something which can make a difference to the lives of people in India in particular, the world in general. But our world, definitely, we think when business-wise we think of it, we think about India. So from there, the journey started, and we started building maps for the country, fully knowing that it will take at least 10 long years from 1995 till 2004, the phase one of MapMyIndia, that it will take 10 long years to build some reasonable level of digital map for the country. Nobody understood or knew what is a digital map. Believe me, that was a state of affair. Forget about the technology availability. After 10 long years, we felt having created a digital map of the country in some way and serviced many of the well-known companies in the country, like Coca-Cola, like different telecom companies or Hindustan Livers of the world. We felt that unless these digital maps go into the hands of the users, consumers, people will not know what we are doing. So in 2004, we launched MapMyIndia.com portal, the digital mapping portal, the first of its kind in the country. And even Google Maps didn't exist at that time. So with that, our journey really started from 2004, taking the product in the market as a product rather than as a services, whether it was a SaaS, software as services, or as licensing the products. From that period till today, the 21 long years, if I may say, 17 long years, if I may say, the journey has been very exciting. And the key factor behind all this has been innovation and innovation, business disruption. What people knew to do with paper maps, we could do it through digital maps. So the journey has come to today, where we say that our app the MapMyIndia move has earned the Aatmanirbhar App Challenge Award from the Government of India. While we are having our revenue coming from primarily from a B2B or B2B2C business.
Right. It's been a fantastic journey, sir, and many different things that I can specifically draw out from this. One, the fact that you had a vision to do something for the country. And then second, pivoting from services to products, and then building something with such a long gestation period of, more than a decade. So fantastic journey. Thank you so much for that introduction. Uh, so while Map My India was always known and popular on the web, I think 2004, as you mentioned, you launched. We didn't hear too much about the mobile technology as such. Now, was there a conscious choice to work on the back end as such?
Yes, it was a conscious choice, but not so much back end. We are in the front end even today, may not be, as you rightly said, the mobile app so much. Yes, the situation was and still exists today that there is one of the largest player by name Google. They have monopolized the Android operating system and forcing the mobile handset manufacturers that they have to have Google Maps as a default part of the phone. We understood that game early in the 2006, 7, 8, and we said the best way now is to reach the consumers, individuals like you and me, but through another route. And that route we adopted was automotive companies. All the automotive OEMs in India from 2008-9 till date, the 12 long years, they use MapMyIndia maps in their navigation in the car. So that's not back end, that's front end. The only difference was we went that route. The back end is typically so this is what is called B2B2C in our definition because Google had blocked us that way. But in terms of B2B, the back end, like what Ola uses or what Flipkart uses or what Amazon uses, that's the back end part where they provide a better service to their customers by using our maps, which is of a higher grade quality than anybody else in the country, including the foreign players.
Right. So, 2 decades has been a long journey. What are some of the new products and segments that you are focused on today?
Very interesting again. If I recollect the first decade, if I may say the total of 2.5 decades we have gone through, every type of organizations we addressed in the first decade, it is the same set of organizations instead of 10 before, let's say, to 10,000 today. But, it's like, we still eat for our food the same rice or same wheat or same vegetables, but now they are available in different formats. Like you go to the stores and you find the food available in cans and other places, some processed food, but still the food is food. Map is something like that. Maps existed on a paper map, good old days, went digital, and the use of the maps have become pervasive today in our life, whether it is individual users or in the industry or in the government. Take the latest example of where we have reached the CoWIN of app, or call it CoWIN website of Government of India for vaccination. You see MapMyIndia maps right there as the default one, where the government felt that MapMyIndia data is much more accurate and good quality. So what it has happened in this period is different new versions of solving the problems of the people, users, is the new flavors of map have come in, be it map visualization, be it navigation, be it analytics, be it telematics. I mean, you just name all of them. So for that, the software has started playing a very important role. So it's a continuous innovation in MapMyIndia in the areas of software, in the areas of different use cases. Like going forward, you will see for autonomous driving a high definition map, which is of a different level of maps MapMyIndia is working on, which will get used.
Right. Yeah, definitely. One can't think of living without maps these days. In fact, any app or service these days has some function of maps to it, right? So your 2020 Auto Expo showcase was really interesting, and I would love to, discuss that in a little more detail. Could you talk about your automotive segment and the use cases a little further? As you mentioned, I think some of the top OEMs are using it, and then you mentioned autonomous driving and so on. So could you maybe drill down on the auto sector in particular and talk about some things?
Sure. Well, uh, automotive sector is still our, I will say, major business from a revenue perspective. Now, lot of technological changes are happening uh, in the automotive sector. I mean, the cars have the four wheels. Whether it becomes electric tomorrow or has started becoming, there is a steering. There is all kind of those things are there. So in the last decade, what we saw was a good shift in the automotive industry where electronics has been playing a very critical role, and lot of activities are happening there whereby the cars will move towards more and more autonomous, not the way you think that there is not going to be a driver or things like that. So what we did in the last Auto Expo, we used a very nice word which has made sense to almost all the automotive OEMs. It's called N-case and DT. N stands for navigation, C stands for connectivity, connected car, A stands for autonomous or ADAS, which is also called as advanced driving assistance. S stands for shared mobility or mobility, and E stands for electric. So these are the different use cases for which MapMyIndia is providing a variety of solutions or services. And the DT is the digital transformation that's happening within not only automotive organization, but any organization. So MapMyIndia is very well positioned and has been always working in a manner. What is the problem that the users are facing or will be facing? For what will be facing, we keep innovating new products. What they are facing today, we are already providing. So this N case is the backbone of the kind of services or the kind of products we are giving, whether it is to a four-wheeler or to a two-wheeler or going forward to a commercial vehicle through our N-case and IoT platform. So we have created in the process very nice two major platforms. One is the map platform. The other is what we say is the IoT platform. Between the two platforms, data is sourced, data is it comes to MapMyIndia. We deliver the services through the connected part of the solution to the automotive companies.
Right. Very interesting. And so, do you have any plans to integrate with the other third-party services via APIs? Given that you have so much of data, so much of rich and vast data with you, any such plans in the near future?
We are absolutely doing it. Just think of PhonePe
Hmm.
or think of Paytm. If you open PhonePe app, which is for a financial transaction, you see our APIs integrated with PhonePe app. You open the Paytm, you will see the same thing. You open GoFirst, you will find the same thing. So our APIs are now used by at least must be by 1,000 organizations in different form or factor. So what we have done is we have opened up our APIs for anyone else to build an application. or they have built an application to integrate our APIs for maps. On the other side, in certain select areas, we provide the complete solution ourselves, like integrating other third-party APIs also, like traffic, like not traffic, like parking, or like weather, or like things like that. We use their APIs also with our solution and provide service to the customers.
Right. That's great to hear. The Move app, which won the Aatmanirbhar Bharat Innovation Challenge, it looks very sleek. What are you doing specifically on that front to increase its adoption? Given that there is a natural competition with the likes of Google Maps, which, as you mentioned, it comes pre-packaged with the Android phone. Anything on that front, sir?
Yeah, it's a challenge which we are internally dealing with. While we see the MapMyIndia Move app adoption is increasing, but still I will say it's not good enough. So what we can do is, again, 10 years back when we took a different approach through the automotive companies to take our navigation to the users, Move app may come across a situation, one of the two. One, like what's happening in the United States about their competition, part of it about what they're looking at seriously, the monopoly of Google or Facebook, like that, or what had happened in the past with the Microsoft what was that called, Internet Explorer, or much before that with AT&T when the AT&T was broken up. So if things like that happen, probably Move app will automatically take on in a big way, where the monopoly of Android and the maps are separated out. Otherwise, we'll keep trying different other ways, means whereby the users feel that yes, if there is one Pepsi, then there is one Coke. If there is one Flipkart, there is an Amazon. If there is a Swiggy, there is a Zomato. Why can't in the mapping space also they can rely on second app called MapMyIndia? So it's definitely an alternative. And believe me, there are many cases where people might be struggling with their current use of maps, which is Google. They might find it more reliable with MapMyIndia. So we'll have to do some serious advertising to bring people, make people understand. And that's also part of our game plan.
Right. I want to touch upon something specific, which is the regulation of some of these large companies. You have seen that how Google, Facebook, etc., have become so prevalent and omnipotent in some sense across the world. Now, usually it comes at the cost of local innovation, right? So, what is your opinion in terms of how the government can regulate these entities and support local innovation, local startups like MapMyIndia?
Well, in the recent past or last 6 months, you will see Government of India has taken two major initiatives in the areas where we fall in. One was by when they felt that MapMyIndia Move app is a really innovative, high quality app. So we got the Aatmanirbhar App Challenge Award. That helped us. The second most interesting thing that happened was on 15th of February, when Government of India issued new map guidelines, which reversed the earlier situation, whereby the foreign players were having a gala time in India and Indian companies were struggling because of the regulation. So Government of India has now fixed that regulation. And in one of the conferences, I saw the Secretary Government of India saying that the foreign companies were just having a great time in India, not following the Indian regulations. Now they will have to follow the regulations. And for Indian mapping companies, they have said there's a total freedom and they can go ahead. So basically, the level playing field has been reversed now by the government. And I'm sure, I'm so happy that government took this bold initiative in spite of the facts we know how the how the foreign companies try to monopolize in any country.
Right. And I would also like your perspective on the current innovation and startup ecosystem in India. What is your opinion? Are we solving the right problems that could set us up, to be a great superpower in the next 10, 15, 20 years, in your opinion?
Well, let me start in a simple, humble way from MapMyIndia's perspective. And when everybody adds something to the kitty, you become a superpower. No one company or no one individual can make it happen. Now, think of Street View as an example. What was Google doing all these years? They had started putting Street View across the world. In India, fortunately, they were told they cannot do it for privacy reason. But this recent Government of India guidelines has allowed MapMyIndia, not MapMyIndia, any Indian company, MapMyIndia included, that they can go ahead with the Street View. Now imagine 3 years back, in 2000, rather 4 years back, in 2017 February, we had showcased the MapMyIndia's innovation in the areas of Street View, which we call it as a real view. For 4 years, it was collecting practically dust because we are not allowed to release it. Now with this new regulation, Government of India said, you guys can, Indian companies can go ahead and not only showcase, take it to the users, consumers. Now, if this is the kind of encouragement coming from the government in our space, where imagine in every other space when such encouragements happen, all put together, the startup system will flourish much and more, particularly where regulations have been holding them back.
Right. Excellent. Uh, So let's move on to your partnership with ISRO. What help will MapMyIndia be providing to ISRO? And could you talk about that partnership in a little more detail, sir?
Well, the partnership is very simple. One of the thing is, as I said before, why Google Maps should rule the country, not by regulation, but because people want it. So what are the three typical things in Google Maps? One is the map, second is the satellite imageries, the third is the street view. Now MapMyIndia has a street view, MapMyIndia has the map, but MapMyIndia doesn't have the satellite imagery. By having an MOU with ISRO today, we are able to provide all the three. So consumers will not feel that using MapMyIndia maps, they can't see the satellite imagery. So that problem gets resolved is the first part of the MOU. The second part of the MOU also is within the government for doing a lot of their projects. The government departments also require satellite imageries. Now they were dependent on Google Maps, Google satellite imageries, or some other satellite imagery. We at MapMyIndia are now in a position to provide the combined power of of ISRO's satellite imageries and MapMyIndia maps and real view to help out and support fully any government or corporate initiative in their area of work.
Right. So another technology related question, how do you see the landscape of mapping or cartology changing as the technology evolves? We often hear of Internet of Things. How will IoT impact mapping specifically, in your opinion?
A big way, a very big way. The world has moved from a static paper map to a web map, to a mobile map, to what we call it as a real-time map. A map, unless until it is kept current to the minute, seconds, to that extent, the utility or use of map gets degraded. So, IoT of things, as you said, is a very integral part of maps because the data that comes in from IoT By IoT, I mean the devices. The devices could be a phone, devices could be a sensor, devices could be a GPS, basic GPS unit, whatever. The data, when it comes, and in real time they get processed, and in real time they get used by the users in the field, outside. That's where the beauty lies of how these technologies combine together to make it possible.
Right. So the government recently announced reforms on collecting and using geospatial data. What are some of the ways, in your opinion, that these reforms will impact our economy?
Well, now it reminds me 25 years back when we started MapMyIndia. At that point of time, the very first conference I participated, I had made a very clear statement that, look, I have the conviction that 80% of any data will have a geolocation component. Today, nobody can question that. It's there, it's true in our life. So, when you think of any government projects, initiative, and all that to bring transparency, the value of the geospatial data for them is enormous. So, keeping that in mind, I guess the government initiative with the geospatial thing will keep moving on further and further, and more use cases will keep coming.
Right. So it's been a long journey of over 2 decades for you at MapMyIndia, uh, but you still have that same passion to add value to the businesses and end consumers, and of course build for Bharat. How do you see MapMyIndia evolving from here onwards? What are some of the plans for the future that you have?
You have touched something very dear to me. The passion, definitely, when I started it, I had the passion and the conviction. But the best part is that passion is now has moved to almost, I would say, majority of the people working in MapMyIndia have the same passion that I have. I don't think that they are working here for all these years, and our retention is very, very high in this IT industry. It's all due to passion. So when the passion is there, you really try to find a solution to a problem that you bump across. Every day is a new day at MapMyIndia. Just like in cricket, they say every match is a new match. MapMyIndia is also every day is a new day. Every day, somebody in the organization comes up saying that he faced or he heard this problem from a user or from a corporate or in the government. And MapMyIndia folks always get ready to see how a solution can be made out of it. We are very agile, and so for the moving forward after 2.5 decades, I don't see any problem. Had the passion remained only with me, I would have been very worried. But I'm least worried today because the passion is there across the board.
Wonderful, sir. Sir, in closing, I would love to hear your thoughts and your advice to all of the youth who are listening to this interview, and specifically maybe to wannabe entrepreneurs, people who are considering building for Bharat, like you did, right? So what are your words of advice to them?
The world has changed. I mean, the youth, a lot more people, many startups have started coming up. I believe in certain ways of how the startup should work, but doesn't mean that I'm always right. There are always other ways also to do things better. What I would like to advise any startup is focus on whatever your ideas that came up in your mind. And if you had the conviction, focus on that with passion. The results will happen. It will come one day, and that day depends upon how the market perceives you and what would be the market size. If I take MapMyIndia itself, it was as back as 2015, which was the last time we raised funds. MapMyIndia is valued at $255 million. Now, did I plan for that when I started MapMyIndia? No, I never. I knew that we are doing some right things and we'll keep doing it. The valuation will be a byproduct. So that's the one big thing I would like to advise the startups, that if you focus on valuation from day one, probably you will go wrong. Probably, most likely you will go wrong. So don't do that. And if you do your things right, valuation is bound to come. We are all interested in the valuation. I would love to see that MapMyIndia reaches the unicorn soon, and because we are doing all the right things. But am I doing any kind of a work? What does it take to make it a unicorn? No. We want to just make sure that we do the things right.
Oh, it's wonderful. This has been a really nice conversation with you. Got to understand many different facets of how you've built this enduring business over the last couple of decades. And really a pleasure to host you. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure too that you gave me a chance to talk to you.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Bharatvaarta podcast. If you want to see more content like this, then don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We started Bharatvaarta to facilitate long-form discussions on politics, policy, and culture. We don't necessarily endorse anything that was said in this episode. If you wish to offer us feedback, do reach out to us on social media. We are at Bharatvaarta on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You could also get in touch with us on our website, www.bharatvaarta.in. The links are in the description below. Until next time, stay safe, take care, and Jai Hind.